third and final meeting of the month of July. Can everyone please raise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to quickly begin by thanking our community for showing up on Tuesday for our annual elections. Obviously, I want to congratulate our victorious board members, the returning Dr. Balachandar, and I guess the also returning Ira Chekla, though after a 20-year sabbatical from the board. The 26-27 budget and the propositions passed. We work hard to keep your trust and encourage you to engage with us during our next budget process, which will start in only how many months, Mr. Manuel? 6 months. But feel free to ask your questions in between then too. Assure you that your questions and concerns will be fully and frankly addressed as we continue to emphasize transparency. All board members are resident taxpayers here, so we are equally interested in any ideas you might have to lower our tax burdens as well. Couple things. Today is World Day for Cultural Diversity for Dialogue and Development, a day to bridge the gap between cultures, which I think, as Dr. Sundberg will show, makes it an interesting day to welcome his presentation on the Jericho civics curriculum, teaching our students about their rights and responsibilities as citizens, and hopefully about the preeminence of the U.S. governmental system, particularly as we approach the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. A few quick items. Next week, we are closed on Monday for Memorial Day, mourn the loss of all U.S. military personnel who died while serving the armed forces. Also, a perfect connection to later welcome our presentation on civic responsibility. School will also be closed on Wednesday for Eid al-Adha, the Feast of Sacrifice. And finally, I want to congratulate the junior class and its leaders for executing, and I apologize, Dev, for stealing your thunder, for executing a great inaugural junior banquet. If you were a junior and you missed it, you missed something special, but I'm sure Dev will tell us more about it in a few minutes. With that, we'll move right on to student presentations. For the middle school update, could we please have Yash Devjani and George Chen.
My name is George Chen.
And I'm Yash Devjani.
We are 8th grade student council representatives. It is a pleasure to be here this evening. This month, SEL theme is Hope and Transitions, which is pretty accurate since many of us are hoping to end the year with flying colors. So yes, a perfect theme.
Is it true that middle schoolers can paint their lockers any color they want? No, they cannot. But they can hang a cute chandelier. All such questions will be addressed and answered during the 5th grade middle school visitation. The 6th, 7th, and 8th grade brave ambassadors will greet 5th graders along with Mr. Gleason, Mrs. Ballou, and the support staff at a welcome assembly. The ambassadors will give the 5th graders a tour of the building, and students will visit 6th grade classrooms where they can see 6th graders in action and ask them questions about transitioning.
More exciting news to offer students a more immersive language experience. 8th grade world language teachers have been taking students to dining experience at Ferrara Cafe, Little Italy for Italian food, to a buffet in Queens for Chinese food, and the Kerber Farm School for a French cooking experience. Spanish classes had already visited Sangria 71 back in November. Buen provecho, manja, bon appetit, chimayon.
Fact: students who consistently learn about substance abuse from educators or parents are 50% less likely to use drugs. This week, we were fortunate that the high school students from Youth Decide Steam Bites, the SAD Club, and the Middle School Health and Awareness Club facilitated mental health presentations for Red Ribbon Week. in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade classrooms. Thank you, Mrs. Breland, and all the participants involved in this meaningful week.
1 6th to 8th grade New York State math assessment on May 5th and 6th, plus the 8th grade science exam on May 12th equals the end to this year's middle school state testing. Thank you to Ms. Kringstein, Dr. Ostrov, and the math and science teachers for your hard work and dedication in preparing our students. Additionally, E&L students finished their NISLAT exams, while 8th grade world language students will take the Checkpoint A exam on June 11th.
Paul McCartney once said, "Music is like a psychiatrist." We agree. Music can indeed affect one's well-being. So thank you to all musicians who delighted us with their beautiful music at the middle school spring band concert on Tuesday evening in the auditorium.
In other news this month, the middle school guidance counselors have been facilitating Naviance sessions in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade classrooms. Naviance is an online comprehensive program that assists middle school and high school students and parents with academic, career, and college planning. The students have been enjoying the process.
And the perfect time to segue into our 6th grade mini career day, which will be on Tuesday, May 26th. Students will have an opportunity to learn about a variety of careers from professionals in our very own community. Volunteers will share their experiences, career paths, and valuable insights to help inspire students as they begin exploring future goals and interests. And a big thank you to Mrs. Douglas for organizing this special day.
And a quick reminder, the Jericho Middle School Book Fair is on Tuesday, June 2nd. Stock up for summer reading. Well, that's all for this evening. Have a meaningful Memorial Day weekend.
Thank you very much, Mr. Giovanni and Mr. Chen. Now for the high school update, Mr. Dev Lacani. Dev, how many more do you have with us? Is this the last one? You got one more?
Last one, and then we'll introduce the new student council.
Exciting.
Yep. Good evening, everyone. I'm Dev Lacani, student council co-president. As we close in on the end of the school year, I'm excited to share what's been happening at Jericho this May. Starting with the arts, the next few weeks are packed. On June 2nd, we have the district-wide Music and Arts Award Night, followed by the high school band concert on June 4th and Thespian Honor Society Senior Night on June 5th. The Jericho Summer Music Internship will be holding an interest meeting on June 9th with 2 sessions at 8:15 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. And the high school chorus concert wraps things up on June 10th. On top of all of that, students enrolled in music, art, or dance can look out next month for information on reserving their spots for the 2027 Universal and Disney trip. From the Languages Department, our Spanish Honor Society is preparing another field trip this month to the Hempstead Hispanic Civic Association. High school students provide free after-school tutoring there, using their bilingual skills to help students navigate through their academics. A huge thanks to Mrs. Contreras and Mrs. Hubbard for maintaining this incredible partnership. On behalf of the English department, congratulations to the 5 11th grade students who have been recognized by the National Council of Teachers of English for the 2026 Achievements Awards in writing. These students are Jacob Barzadeh, Armand DeWall, Sonia Tariq, Karen Ye, and Samuel Zhang. We are all really proud of you. From the math department, as we close out this year, congratulations to our mathletes, chess team members, and coding club students on an outstanding season of competitions. Their continued success is a testament to the hard work of our students and dedications to their advisors. Now, turning to science, our 2026 ICEFS finalists traveled to Arizona last week and they came back with an incredible set of results. Anshita Agarwal competed in cell biology. Ariana Dur earned second place internationally in biomedical health sciences. Vedant Balani won fourth place in earth and environmental science. Walter Lai, a junior, also placed third in material sciences. Finally, Ryan Tay placed second in chemistry. Vedant and Ryan also won special awards from the Consortium of Mathematics and the American Chemical Society. Everyone is welcome to attend our science symposium on Monday, June 1st in the high school lobby and auditorium to see this year's research in person. Also this month, our AP Bio and Principles of Engineering classes were visited by a team from NY Propel, which included WSP engineers and representatives from the New York Power Authority and New York Transco. Students stepping into the role of managers and engineers, helping determine where to place essential energy lines as part of a large collaborative project to expand Long Island's energy infrastructure. And for the past 2 days, our forensics class were put on the case of the flattened Mr. Mendonis. They examined the crime scene to figure out who the culprit was, and lucky for us, the real Mr. Mendonis is alive, well, not flattened right there. One more shout out in this space, Franklin Lee was awarded a $2,000 scholarship from ASSET, an Association of Technology Directors. Franklin was one of only 10 students across Long Island to earn this award through his video submission. Big congratulations to him and his teachers, Mrs. Diskin and Dr. DeMarinis. Wrapping up with athletics, this spring has been one to remember. Our varsity boys lacrosse team competed against some of the top talent in Nassau County and earned a spot in the Nassau County playoffs. Both our boys and girls badminton teams captured Long Island championships. The boys opened the night by defeating the previously 15-0 Suffolk County champions Half Hollow Hills by a score of 9-0. And the girls followed with an equally dominant 9-0 victory against the Suffolk County champions Ward Melville. It was an incredible night for Jericho badminton. In track, congratulations to sophomore Sonia Nye, who broke the Jericho shot put record this season. And on the golf course, our girls golf team finished second in Nassau County, led by two 7th grade student athletes, Taryn Lee and Jackie Wing. At the individual county championships, Taryn finished second in Nassau and Jackie finished 5th, and will both be representing Jericho at the New York State Tournament in June. Congratulations to all county, all conference, all county honorable mention, and Scholar Athlete Awards winners this spring. And finally, a huge thank you to all our senior student athletes for their pride, leadership, and commitment. I want to wrap it up with a big congratulations to the junior class for a very successful junior banquet. And as always, go Jayhawks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. LaCounty. Next up, we have the PTA Joint Council President, Mrs. Aileen Gingold.
Good evening, Dr. Kravitz, members of the Board of Education, Central Administration, faculty, staff, and community members. My name is Aileen Gingold, and I am the president of the Joint PTA Council, and it's my pleasure to be here with you this evening. Congratulations to Ira Checkler and Dr. Divya Balanchander on their election to the school board. We look forward to working with you. And a warm thank you to Jill Citron for her many years of service and dedication to the Jericho School Board and our Jericho community. We really appreciate all you have done for all of our children. PTA Council is looking forward to meeting with Mr. Greg Sloan next week, where we will be hearing all about the amazing colleges our students are attending, as well as the many resources our guidance department has for supporting those students. It is a meeting we highlight and mark off on our calendars every year. All of our units were busy this month. The Candiac PTA hosted a very successful Teacher Appreciation Week, treating staff to 3 different food trucks featuring coffee, Huey, frozen yogurt, and candy. They were also thrilled to have a sold-out magic show and tremendous success selling school swag. With kindergarten orientation coming up, the PTA is excited to welcome many new families and encourage them to get involved in the school community. Looking ahead, everyone is eager for Field Day at the end of May and the Class of 2026 reunion on June 2nd. Jeffrey Ratner Robert Seaman PTA was incredibly proud of the success of their Book Fairy Drive, which resulted in the donation of 11 boxes of books. They also hosted a successful Mother's Day sale and gifted each student a red carnation to bring home for their mom. This month, the PTA also celebrated their faculty and staff with a variety of appreciation events, including massage chairs for teachers, which was a staff favorite. Looking ahead, the PTA is honored to sponsor Holocaust survivor Marianne Lazan, who will be speaking with the 5th grade students. The Jackson PTA celebrated their staff this month as well with an incredible teacher appreciation spread featuring paninis, charcuterie, and sushi. With a wellness theme as well, their staff also enjoyed massage therapists throughout the day. Looking ahead, students are excited for their field day on May 28th, where an ice cream truck will help cool everyone off and celebrate the day. In addition, the Adventureland trip has been rescheduled for June 15th, and everyone is looking forward to a fun-filled and memorable day together. The middle school PTSA has already started handing out their lawn signs in honor of their graduating 8th graders. If you missed the original handout, and additional pickup times are available. June 2nd to 4th will be their Spring Book Fair, and June 4th will be the last PTSA meeting of the year and installation of their new officers. The high school PTSA was proud to sponsor the first ever Jericho Senior Banquet last Friday, where their dirty soda bar and custom napkins were a huge hit with the students. The senior committee is now putting the final touches on the senior party, which will be taking place next Wednesday, June 3rd from 6 to 8:30 p.m. in the Sam Springer Gym. This event is free for all seniors, and students are encouraged to wear white and get ready for an unforgettable celebration. Looking ahead, on June 12th, the PTSA will sponsor a school-wide ice cream treat giveaway for all students and faculty. To close out the year, the PTSA will also be partnering with Candiad on a meeting final fundraiser, collecting new and gently used backpacks for students in need of school supplies. SEPTA had a successful and meaningful all-ability month in April. Highlights included an inspiring assembly with motivational speaker Jordan Toma and a sold-out robotics night, which brought students together and staff for an evening of innovation and fun. Tonight, SEPTA will present this year's teacher grant recipients. Preparations are also underway for SEPTA's Awards and Recognition Night on Tuesday, June 8th at 7 p.m. Finally, SEPTA's next workshop will take place on Friday, May 29th at 10 a.m. and will feature occupational therapist Debbie Wanderman, speech language pathologist Rebecca Rubin, and psychologist Dr. Michael Chomsky. The workshop suggested is titled Summer Without the Slide, Keeping Structure, Regulation, and Independence Alive Without Turning Summer into School. Thank you to all the PTAs for all their activities this month, and thank you and good night. And I was told to say go Knicks.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Gingold. As you just heard, our PTA units accomplish a lot and contribute a lot to our community. And tonight, we're fortunate to have 3 different PTSA units giving back to, financially at least in this case, to the district. They give back in many, many ways, but tonight we have 3. So to start off with, before they come up to talk to us, can I get a motion on be resolved the Board of Education accept on behalf of the district a donation of $4,999.10 from SEPTA, who respectfully said funds to be used as indicated on the attached and as will be presented to us in a couple of minutes. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Mrs. Mrs. Vartnoff. Second, thank you, Mrs. Citron. For discussion, I would love to welcome up whichever members of SEPTA would like to tell us about the teacher grants this year.
Hi, friends. Thank you for having us tonight. So SEPTA's fundraising events continue to thrive because of the extraordinary partnership between our administrators, staff, students, and volunteers. Their creativity, generosity, and countless hours of work transform simple ideas into memorable experiences that directly benefit students throughout our district. Each year, our community looks forward to Cookies and Canvas, one of SEPTA's signature events, led by Brian Simonelli, Ruth Breidenbach, and the Jericho High School National Art Honor Society. This event combines creativity, connection, and fun as students create their own framed masterpieces, complete with the famous Cookies and Canvas flair. This year also brought the continuation of 2 newer events, Chess Night and Robotics Night, both of which reached capacity almost immediately. We are incredibly grateful to Dr. Alex Rivera and Dr. Dee Marinas from the high school for helping host an outstanding chess event that welcomed more than 60 participants. A very special thank you also goes to the talented student volunteers from Jericho's award-winning middle and high school chess club and team. Their enthusiasm and mentorship made this evening so special. Our last fundraiser that contributed to the SEPTA Awards that you'll hear about was Robotics Night. It was also equally impressive, and thank you to Jana Ostroff, David Herbert, Matthew Pagliari, Nicholas Curcio, and Lewis Cooper, and the volunteer tech class students for creating an engaging evening filled with coding, engineering, innovation, and hands-on exploration for students in grades K through 8. Sorry. It's a lot. These events represent so much more than fundraising. They create opportunities for students and families to connect, explore new interests, and build community together. Every dollar raised goes directly back into our schools to support meaningful experiences for our students and staff. And we also want to recognize one of the true highlights of every SEPTA event, Cool Beans Cafe and our life skills program students. They continually impress us with their creativity and attention to detail. From themed treats inspired by chess pieces and Lego bricks to colorful artistic desserts, they make every event feel thoughtful, welcoming, and unforgettable.
We are excited to share that together, Jericho School District exceeded our goal for All Abilities Month. To let you know, we raised $4,452. Thank you to every building for your creativity, enthusiasm, and incredible school spirit in helping us reach and surpass our target. This achievement was only possible because of the generosity, participation, and heart of our students, staff, and families. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Marissa Amato, current president of Jericho SEPTA. I also wanted to say a big thank you to our administration, to the PPS department, and then also everybody on the exec board. We have a few members this evening. We so appreciate all your support and hard work during All Abilities Month. And I also wanted to say a special thank you to Gina Levy and the Levy family. Susie mentioned that SEPTA was able to sponsor one of the nation's top motivational speakers right now. He spoke to the middle school students about mental health, which is on the forefront of many of our minds right now. And we were able to sponsor him because of the generosity of the community, but also the Levy family. And they also, because of their generosity, they allowed us to raise our grants this year from our traditional $3,000 to a whopping $5,000. So we're really, really proud of that. Thank you. And it's a combination of the Levy family and the generosity of our community during this time. And that brings us to why SEPTA is here to talk about the grants.
A little intro about our teacher grant program. The program provides funding for new programs and equipment that benefit both special education and general education students. These grants support innovative classroom projects, promote social and emotional learning, and integrate cutting-edge technology that enhances our educational programs.
I am extremely honored to mention our first grant, which goes to an incredible human, incredible teacher who I've had the privilege of having both of my daughters in the classroom, of Miss Carly Rosen, who happens, and that fourth grade teacher in Kenya, who happens to also be sitting next to and head the ICT classroom with Allie Roseman, also equally amazing teacher and human. So thank you both. And I'll tell you a little bit about the grant. Hopefully you will both benefit from it next year if you're still together, right? You don't know yet. All right. Moving on to the grant. For $1,330 to purchase 13 sets of desks with whiteboard tops. These desks will enhance the learning experiences in the elementary ICT coaching classroom. These innovative desks will support flexible seating, collaboration, and active learning by allowing students to work independently, in pairs, or in small groups while engaging in hands-on interactive instructions with whiteboards ready to go. Congratulations.
I am proud to present the next grant awarded to Karen Pascarella of the Jericho Middle School Skills Development class. This grant is for $2,902.40 for an interactive learning and communication table. The Jericho Middle School Skills Development class is made up of students who are primarily nonverbal and rely on LAMP AAC devices to communicate. LAMP AAC stands for Language Acquisition Through Motor Planning, Augmentative and Alternative Communication. Students benefit from hands-on multi-user technology to practice communication, social skills, and functional learning together. The interactive table provides a shared multi-touch platform to 1. Express choices and communicate using LAMP-compatible apps. 2. Participate in collaborative social emotional learning and functional skills games. And 3. Engage in academic and cause and effect activities. Congratulations to Karen Pasquale.
Our third grant is awarded to Brittany Del Vecchio. I see you back there. Career and Skills Development Teacher for the high school. The grant is for $565.72 for adaptive kitchen tools and instructional resources. The high school career and skills development class is comprised of an educational experience for students with various development skill levels. This program works on critical daily living skills and vocational skills, including meal preparation, safety in the kitchen, and using community resources. These skills are essential for independent living and future employment. These resources will reduce barriers, increase participation, and help students build confidence and independence in essential real-world skills. Congratulations.
Hello, I'm privileged to announce the last of the grants. It is being awarded to Melissa Friedman, the science teacher for the high school. It's a grant for $200.98 for the hands-on flower dissection lab elements. This lab will implement an inclusive, hands-on flower dissection designed to enhance student understanding of plant reproductive structures while promoting accessibility, engagement, and differentiated instruction for students with disabilities. This tactile visual experience provides multiple means of engagement and representation, particularly benefiting students with processing, language, or attention-based disabilities who may struggle with abstract diagrams alone. The lab also supports social emotional learning by encouraging collaboration, shared responsibility, and confidence in scientific inquiry. Congratulations to Ms. Friedman.
Congratulations to all the awardees for their remarkable contributions and unwavering commitment to inclusive education. Thank you all so much.
Thank you very much to the several officers and to Mrs. Desiree Clemente. Can I have a vote on accepting those donations and having money says here? 5-0. Thank you again. But wait, our PTA is not done. Be it resolved that the Board of Education accept a donation from the middle school PTSA of guest speakers Dana Arshan and Leo Ullman to present on June 15th, 2026 for a Holocaust assembly with the 7th and 8th grades. Do I have a motion? Motion, thank you, Mrs. Martinoff. Second, thank you, Mr. Jin. All in favor? Thank you, middle school PTA. But wait, there is more. Be it resolved, the Board of Education accept a donation from the Jeffrey Ratner Robert Seaman PTA in the amount of $900 for the program Crazy Science to be presented to JRS students on June 1st, 2026. The JRS PTA will make the payment directly to the vendor. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Mr. Jin. Second, thank you, Mrs. Citron. All in favor? Once again, thank you to the JRS PTA. Now for the superintendent's report, Ms. Dr. Robert Kravitz.
Thank you, Mr. Perlman, and everyone here tonight. Just for the enrollment figures, as of last year, we were at 3,333 students. We are at 3,180 students. But I would like to read a letter that I received today from Shelley Mayer, Senator 37th District. Dear Dr. Kravitz, it is my sincere pleasure to congratulate you and the hardworking teachers and staff of Jeffrey Ratner Robert Seaman Elementary School on being recognized as a 2026 Blue Ribbon School of Excellence. What a distinguished honor. Superintendent Committee on Education, I am immensely proud of the work of your teachers, staff, and administration. This important recognition reflects the great success of your efforts and your tremendous commitment to New York's children. Congratulations once again to Jeffrey Radner Robert Seaman Elementary School on this well-deserved honor, and thank you for supporting and inspiring the next generation of leaders. I celebrate your exceptional work. Congratulations to Joanna Kletter, to the teachers, to the parents, to the students, and to everyone and all the curriculum associates who have participated in the success of that school. It is an honor. Once again, Jericho never seems to stop amazing. There you go.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kravitz, for that wonderful news. Unless any of my colleagues have anything that they want to bring up before we move on to more of the agenda, the person you've all come here to hear tonight. In the wings, Dr. Eric Sundberg, to present on the Jericho Civics curriculum. And he really said he hopes people ask me a lot of tough questions.
What could possibly go wrong? While you're changing your seats. So I've been asked to speak about civics education. I just want to remind the room that social studies in New York State is based on 5 interconnected standards, including economics, geography, world history, United States history, and government. So civics kind of lives among these places, although maybe it's more in government. So I want to start by saying that in Jericho we design curriculum by understanding by design process, and normally we begin designing instructional units around essential understandings. So I've got 4 essential understandings related to civics that we want all students to graduate having at the end of their K through 12 education. And I also like it when we can frame understandings as completing a sentence, students will understand that. Right? So by the time they graduate, we want students to understand that systems are shaped by principles, institutions, and historical development, that decisions require careful evaluation of evidence and multiple perspectives, that responsible participation depends on knowledge, reasoning, and engagement, and hopefully students will understand that a healthy democracy depends on a sense of civic identity and particular dispositions. Those dispositions are a sense of civic identity and character, political efficacy, the belief that if you're going to try to affect the outcome of a political process, or if you want to make change, you have a chance of being successful, that you know how to function as a citizen. Respect for democratic values, tolerance for different opinions, connected to a sense of reciprocity and mutual understanding, a belief that you actually have something to gain by interacting with people with whom you disagree, and even have a willingness to change one's mind. And of course, attentiveness to public affairs. We avoid false choices. We don't get involved in the knowledge versus skills debate. Both of these things are taught together through a Jericho education, and we avoid the participation versus understanding debate. So let's accept that we're not trying to create activists out of our students. We're very, very knowledge-based. Understanding, action without understanding is hollow. On the other hand, without creating a sense that you know how to function as a citizen to affect outcomes, you could wind up feeling powerless. So, a knowledge-rich, inquiry-driven, developmentally sequenced program. So we have a continuum of about 6 elements that are at all stages of education in Jericho, but they're not always leaned into the same amount at every grade level, at every age level. So the participation part really begins to come out more in high school, particularly towards the senior year. And the developmental readiness of a kindergartner or a first grader, we're very much more about raising awareness. And knowledge is the most important thing all the way through. We're a very knowledge-rich curriculum here. You need to know a lot of stuff to think about stuff. So our elementary foundation, beginning grades K1, like all of our grades, is based on the New York State Social Studies framework, New York State Social Studies standards, laws and regulations of New York relating to civics. Kindergarten, first grade, they're very much about myself and others, my family and other families. Dare I say, it's almost an Aristotelian approach that the family is the foundation of civil society. So understanding authority, rights, and responsibilities begins in your own home. But in school, we're also making students aware that not all families are the same, and not all people are the same. So we're comparing and contrasting a lot. It's really in second grade that the curriculum begins to get into this concept of civic identity. We're teaching about different kinds of communities, developing an academic vocabulary, particularly around the concept of suburban, rural, and urban, comparing and contrasting those kinds of communities, developing an appreciation for the kind that we live in. Also looking at foundational concepts like fairness and responsibility and rules and belonging. Holidays, heritage months, we do this K through 12, but it's in elementary school that these are actually part of curriculum. So it's an elementary school that you're going to see lesson plans about Veterans Day and Labor Day. In the beginning of the year, for Veterans Day, for example, it's November, it's early on, we're taking a look at the importance of having empathy for other people who have sacrificed for the community, fostering a sense of belonging to an historical community. They're learning to honor veterans. What does it look like when a student understands that? Well, it could be as simple as knowing how to write thank you notes to veterans. By the end of the year, we're further along in developing analytical skills, and some of the academic tools that we use. So this week, you would, in elementary classrooms, be seeing students comparing and contrasting Veterans Day and Memorial Day. So how many adults that we know would know the difference? All right, so, third grade is an expanding sense of identity, leading into some of those dispositions that we're talking about. New York is asking us to be looking at world communities in third grade. So they're typically going to be looking at 3 countries other than the United States. It changes from school to school, from year to year, but let's just say Brazil, China, Kenya, and New York wants us to be teaching that there is this concept of universal human rights tied to the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. Those values that the UN uses come right out of our own Declaration of Independence. So we're looking at these dispositions. I'll keep it moving. One of the ways that we do this is third grade teachers in all 3 buildings are committed to having some sort of a virtual exchange with students in other countries. Kenya is the one that we've done the most with. Just going to take a quick look at this. So what we have students doing is swapping questions with kids their own age in another country. So what we like about the Kenya one is the science curriculum in New York and the science curriculum in Kenya are very, very similar. They're studying environmental issues in both countries. So the students in Jericho, for example, engage in research projects learning about water quality on Long Island, some of the issues with having safe water, but they're also swapping questions with friends in Kenya. And then they create videos that they share with each other. So third grade teachers and the librarians work closely together on the technical skills on how to do this, how to write the scripts for this. And then they would get something like this every once in a while from their friends in Kenya. After responding to some of our questions, they get this.
We sweep the school compound and classes, go to assembly and start our class at 8 a.m. We learn 12 subjects. We have 2 breaks and 1 lunch break. And games time. We all wear school uniform. We all love reading. We go home at 5 p.m. Our favorite celebration is Christmas because we celebrate birth of Jesus Christ. Questions: what is your favorite game? What is your favorite subject? What is your favorite food?
Just going to keep it moving, but the students learn a lot about each other by doing this. So one of the things that comes out is that the Kenyan students, they speak English, but we still need to do transcribes because of the accents, and Swahili and local dialects. And then we find out students in our own classrooms in elementary school also speak very often multiple languages. So it's a fun thing. But as we move up in the grade levels, we start moving into a different kind of analysis, and we call this perspective analysis. So how do citizens think? So we're into American history by 4th grade, and now we're introducing an appreciation that is going to go through 12th grade, that there are multiple perspectives on all issues. So when we're learning about the American Revolution, for example, we don't just say Americans were good, the British were bad. The Americans were divided. Right? So there were patriots, loyalists, neutralists, and they debated these issues for years before moving into the actual revolution. So we start doing the paired texts approach to lesson planning, which we see a lot in social studies. So the governor of Massachusetts, and we could take the language and simplify it. So this is not exactly how it's written in the letters. We simplify the language so students can understand it. Looking at, in a sense, a reasonable case for not breaking away from Great Britain, like we want to obey the laws, we want to be loyal to our country, versus other people who are fed up and moving away. So when we get to middle school, 6th, 7th, 8th, we're into a more formal study of different government systems through the lens of ancient history in 6th grade and through the lens of American history in 7th and 8th grade. So an appreciation for the importance of written law in the Code of Hammurabi, for example, having sketchy evidence of exactly what it was like in Egypt, but being attracted to the sort of the mystery and the way they organized their government, and of course Athenian democracy and Roman republicanism, and beginning to get this idea that we'll come back to, that there are concepts and institutions from civilizations long gone that are still speaking to our civilization in America today. So these same ideas continue into 7th and 8th grade when we're looking at the evolution of democracy throughout American history, evolution of democratic ideals. So the way we think about who gets to vote, who has rights in 1776 or 1789 it kind of changes along the way. It's in 7th grade that we have this splendid trip to Philadelphia. Currently Ms. Travis is a great planner of this trip, and we are looking at the concept of liberty. So we're learning about American symbols that hopefully create a sense of identity with the country, and they're going to begin to see things that they'll see on currency, on statues, and over and over again. They visit Constitution Hall, Independence Hall rather, the Constitution Center, look at monuments to religious liberty. 8th grade, banger of a trip. This is an overnight, which we do every year, and it's wonderful. So now we have Jericho students sitting there on Capitol Hill. And this year, the first day when we were supposed to go to Congress was the beginning of the government shutdown. But Congressman Swazi still came out and met our students. As a congressman should do, but we're grateful to the assistance of a once and future board member who helped hook us up with this connection. We return to this notion of sacrifice that we were talking about on Veterans Day, and we're approaching Memorial Day right now. Ms. Cantwell maintains a close relationship with the Lynch family. So a Jericho graduate who gave his life in Iraq in 2005 is remembered by many in the community. And Ms. Cantwell did a wonderful job arranging for Jericho students to lay a wreath in that graduate's honor. Been on this trip a lot of times, and to see students who are so pumped up on big tubes of colored sugar that they're having, and to suddenly display solemnity and respect at these events. It's actually very gratifying. So this is a big part of the Washington trip. But I also want to come full circle back to 6th grade. This is a fun time to be sitting with students on benches and lawns in museums and asking questions like this, based on what you learned 2 years ago in 6th grade. Do you know, is that a Doric column? Is that a Corinthian column? And it's they're developing an architectural vocabulary that people consciously draw upon to communicate things. So why does somebody choose this Egyptian, obelisk to memorialize George Washington? That's an interesting conversation. Somebody's trying to communicate something when they design the Lincoln Memorial based on the Parthenon. So our civilization is coming from these ancient civilizations and remains part of the way we express ourselves. Constitution Day is a big bit of fun every year. It's more of a Constitution week. But Constitution Day every year is September 17th. And it expresses itself some ways in elementary school classrooms where you may be making list of classroom rules that wind up on the bathroom door, or in secondary school, it's really part of the curriculum. So we do try and have fun with it. So every secondary student is given a copy of the Constitution, and for years they can carry them around with them because they're going to be called upon to have them in social studies class in 7th, 8th, 11th grade. And we make sure that if they lose them, we give them more. I'm not supposed to reveal the identity of the person in the bill costume, but there's probably less than 10 people at home watching, so it's Ms. Leonetti, who is a dancer and a choreo person, but really the only one who fits in the costume. And it's a great time. Constitution Day takes more of an academic aspect in our secondary classrooms. I'm not going to go into all of these examples, but I'm going to choose one that's fun. So understand, in 7th grade, they're learning about the Constitution for a month, later in the year. But we make it an opportunity, and I love this one that Ms. Espinal does. Again, very, very quickly, comparing and contrasting government under the United States Constitution with the Iroquois Confederation. So it's a bit of New York history. New York State wants us to draw these comparisons. My own opinion is people give the Iroquois, which were wonderful, too much credit for actually inspiring the Constitution, but there are important things to compare here. This one, you're the best. Thank you. It's also in middle school where every sixth grade student, every seventh grade student, every eighth grade student does a significant weeks-long at least research project. In seventh and eighth grade, actually in sixth grade also, they all are tying what they do to the theme put out by National History Day for that year. And of course, the theme for National History Day this year is tied to the semi-quincentennial. And a fun word, it's the 250th anniversary of the revolution, of the Declaration of Independence. So if you go around our buildings right now, the libraries are beginning to put out books related to that. The window outside is getting there. And I could speak all night, which you don't want me to do, about Jericho History Day and our research process. But want you to know that since the beginning of the year, we've been exploring the theme of revolution, reaction, and reform from the American understanding into these other concepts. There are very few things that we do that teach these some of these civic dispositions more than these research projects. But I want to point out that part of what we're doing all the way through 12th grade is teaching information awareness. This is a very important citizenship skill. So AI, for example, is one of the newer ways that we're teaching students what their responsibilities are with this. So in the beginning of the year, we're telling students their responsibility on how to train AI to help them with their projects, how to evaluate, verify. Veracity is one of the most important social studies skills, and what is true and what is not is one of the most elusive things in history. Back to that one. It's also out of these history research projects in middle school and high school that many and sometimes all of our students wind out engaging with civic leaders. So seeing people who are modeling how a difference can be made is really important. So here we have the great Jay Patel, who has been a super successful documentarian in our program, meeting with probably the most famous documentarian in the world, Mr. Ken Burns. And we had a few students a few years ago did a project on Francis Perkins, who may have been the longest serving member of any cabinet ever, because I think she was for all four terms of FDR. First female member of a presidential cabinet. So we were thrilled when the New York State Commissioner of Labor, who is also a woman, Ms. Roberta Reardon, came down to this very room and met with many of our students and talked about labor law and the importance of that part of the government in New York. So this sort of modeling was really good. And just a few months ago, a high school student who was doing a related history paper. We like people who respond to our emails. Of some fame, Dr. Anthony Fauci did a Zoom conference with one of our high school researchers, and thank you for Zendrian for helping make that happen. Our projects can take students into a lot of different directions, and will very often convene big groups of students when we hook somebody good. It's in high school that we're really digging into historic judgment and political persuasion as a skill set. So whether it be in our regular history classes, in our debate class, which probably does this better than anything, students are evaluating issues, evaluating essential questions, I guess is one of the ways we frame it, and learn about competing values. We'll talk about that more in a moment. it's also in high school where we have Regents exams. So there are 2 Regents exams in high school. One is global history and geography, and a few years ago that test was changed to have, rather than a traditional DBQ, what's called the Enduring Issues Essay. And the state gives us a whole page of enduring issues that students are supposed to learn about, and learn about them as by enduring, meaning they could have been an issue in Athens, and they can be an issue on Long Island today. And so these essays are 50% based on, in a sense, what they're reading, but 50% based on every scrap of knowledge they can pull together to speak to one of these themes: conflict, desire for power, etc. I mean, I had to put this picture because one of my favorite innovations of this year was Mr. Schotter came up with the Enduring Tissues Project, where students would write on all 6 sides of a box different examples of an issue in history. So it's training their minds to be able to do this when they get to the essay. It does a lot of great things, but I want to point out it measures reasoning, but not really participation. And one of the things I want to caution about in civic education, it can't be just teaching to tests. Civic education is more than that, but more important, the New York State standards are more than that. And we do a better job in this with the United States History and Government Regents exam in 11th grade. This has a civic literacy essay. The prompt is the same every test, every year. Some of the historic examples change, but they're always going to be asked to describe efforts by individuals, groups, or governments to address a constitutional or civic issue. And they're always going to be asked to discuss the extent to which people were successful. So this gives a much deeper understanding about the ways people get civically engaged and their degree of success in addressing a civic issue, but it still doesn't get to deliberative habits, which are in the standards. And if you really drill down in the New York State standards, they get as specific as knowing how to look another person in the eye, knowing how to paraphrase the other person's perspective. And the tests don't measure that. So this other part of participation is really important to us. So critical evaluation, look at our test scores. Right? We gave a presentation to that in the fall. We're better than anyone in the state. We're better than anyone on Long Island. So our students know how a bill becomes a law. They know about federalism and checks and balances. They can cite Supreme Court cases, at least on the test, on AP exams, on Regents exams. What I'm really proud of and what makes Jericho different is respectful dialogue and these other forms of participation. And some of that comes out of our philosophy class, which is based on Socratic seminars, which shows students having to reflect, people getting scored on how well they can ask a question about somebody else, how well they can paraphrase what somebody else said. Our debate class, by its very nature, a flip of a coin can tell you which side you're going to have to argue. You need to master both. The style of debate that we do in Jericho, because there's different styles out there, and we dabble in more than one, but our curriculum and the league in which we participate, the Long Island Forensic Association, is based on when we train our judges at these conferences, at these competitions, they're parents. Some of you have done it. You've done it a lot. Thank you. And we tell the judges in training, if you don't understand what the student is saying, that's on them. Right? So there's other forms of debate where people speak 1,000 miles an hour and use very arcane language, and that's cool for competition, and you know, so we want to take us to these things. But if we're interested in the aims of civic education, as we define it in Jericho, we need to lean into the traditional kind that we're doing. So I'm not talking about which one gets you into college, I'm saying which makes you a better citizen, where you can understand each other. And obviously all of the co-curricular activities that we do. FBLA probably does as much for civic education as anything we do in social studies. Model Congress, mock trial, Model UN, all of these things where we're filling buses with kids wearing suits. And they're going off and acting like ladies and gentlemen who are making pitches and politely disagreeing with each other. And maybe even changing their minds. By the senior year, all students are required to take at least one semester of government. And that government class needs to, among other things, meet the requirements of the New York State Participation in Government requirement. So the ways we do that here, and some students take more than one of these, by the way, because we're that good. But you can take Advanced Placement, Government, and Politics, which is a college-level deep dive course which gets into government and politics. Facing History, which in some ways harkens back to the third grade standards of studying human rights. And it's what we sometimes call hard history. It grows out of Holocaust studies. But that's a class where students would be learning about always the Holocaust, and there were wonderful field experiences that go with that into local museums and guest speakers, but also Darfur and Armenia. So all sorts of historic tragedies, and looking for patterns and what do we see in cultures or societies that are leaning towards that sort of tragedy. And it's also, the course is called Facing History and Ourselves. What are my responsibilities to other people in my community, in my school, in countries I'll never go to? Right? And so that goes back to that Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which frankly grew out of the Second World War and the Holocaust. Digital citizenship has been around since about 2017. Initially created to take a look at how, in addition to everything else you need to know about government, how our understanding of government, how our understanding of issues is affected by various media. At that time, social media, increasingly taking a look at how AI and algorithms are affecting misinformation, are affecting the way we perceive the world. Okay. So always training our students to understand how information is mediated and how that can affect their perceptions. So not only to use these tools, but also to protect themselves from them, because there are dangers in them. And our newest government option is something called Project Citizen. It is a course that is initially designed for students who may be traditionally disengaged from social studies work. I'm not talking about any particular populations, but it's a way of hooking students in a way that appeals to their interests. It's probably the closest thing to traditional participation in government class. And like these other two classes, it involves students exploring how they can make a difference, identifying a problem that they might want to address. It's also in this class, and I want to be careful because I don't want to overpromise, but this is the first class that we're piloting this year, the recently created New York State Seal of Civic Readiness, which is based on students having had a series of experiences going back to middle school that click off certain boxes that the state wants to see to get the Seal of Civic Readiness, but also being an Eagle Scout, almost like that kind of a service project where you identify an issue and try and propose a solution. And it's been fun. The students have done things like, the traffic jams at the T in the high school, the perennial problem of the traffic light over on 106. And they have to interview experts, identify existing laws and policies around this. So we're getting them ready for citizenship outside of school. Which ties to what we do every year in all of our government classes. We consistently register students to vote. One of the rights of American citizens under the Constitution, and goes along with the responsibility to be informed, to be reasonable. This year, as we often do after AP exams, we had representatives come in from the Nassau County Board of Electors. They do a wonderful job. They send 4 representatives, always 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans, so they keep an eye on each other. And we had some help this year from 3 students, Tony Pan, Selena Wu, Victor Gao. Spent a lot of time in my office in recent weeks trying to plan that experience. And I guess that's part of civic education also, is helping students have successful experiences in doing something for their community. So most of our seniors had the experience earlier this week of being taught how to register to vote, how to register as a Democrat or a Republican or whatever they wanted to register as, opportunities to serve as poll workers, which is giving back to the community. So I just want to come full circle. There are 4 essential understandings. I just feel the need to emphasize again that we're about learning stuff. I don't want to use the word, I'll use it. It's not a canon by definition, but there's a few dozen essential documents that every student is going to study and annotate, and sometimes multiple times along the way. And they're chosen to try and get at these understandings. So just to reiterate what I said, we want students who know stuff, but we want them to learn to be thoughtful and rational in their judgment, and empathetic and courageous, and to know how to honor people who represent these things. That's all I got.
I'll let others go first. Recognizing that U.S. history has many conflicting views and things have changed over time. After graduating from Jericho, going through all these courses and these experiences that you talked about, are they going to walk away with a positive or negative impression of the United States of America and its government and its economy and its people?
I can't guarantee what they come away with. It is important to us that they feel that it's worth being engaged with it. It's important to us that they feel that these systems that we have in America can work for them, and they can make the kind of difference that they want. How they feel about it at the end of that is partly a result of what they learned from us, partly about what they learned from being in America. So I hope they wind up loving America as a result of all this. I hope they wind up feeling that they identify with this country, with New York State, with this town. And if they've had good experiences with these things, they'll have that. What I can measure is whether or not they understand how it all works, and whether or not they have a skill set to speak their views, to ask a question of somebody with whom they disagree, whether they can exhibit what we saw at the last board meeting of people respectfully swapping ideas and trying to come to some resolution to an issue that was not dividing us, but about which people reasonably disagreed. So
Well,
people are going to reflect that differently. Hopefully, they go and vote. When called to jury duty, hopefully they'll show up. Because your right to a fair trial is tied to the responsibility that reasonable people go when they're called. So they should understand those things, but I can't speak to anybody's feelings.
No, the rights and responsibilities, it sounds like you have it covered very well.
K through 12.
And the ability to present those ideas, whether orally or written, or whether it's through a debate or through a paper, I have confidence that between your department and all the other departments, that part of it gets taken care of. My concern is when you look at the general approach, and I'm not saying you can't do from being responsible and reading any newspaper, that there are a variety of opinions as to how things should work, and there are rights and wrongs. There are balances of power in Washington, D.C. that are right or wrong. There are rules that are dictated by the village of Brookville versus the Nassau County versus New York State versus the federal government. And do the students have an understanding and a recognition of that? And understanding that despite, and I'll give my personal, despite its flaws, that the U.S.'s current structure, not necessarily its execution, is superior to others out there. Would that be something? No, and I'm asking that as a real question. If they're not walking away with that impression, that's a fine answer too. Well, it's not answering good, but it's a fine answer. But I'm really trying to understand what the answer is to that question. Because you talk about a lot of things, and they'll say, okay, you did this, and you look back and say, we're going to go to Athens. Well, Athens had X, Y, and Z that was wrong with it, but they had a democracy, and they're exchanging things with Kenya, and that's fabulous. And they say, well, what are the positives that Kenya has? What are the positives that we have here? Is someone going to walk out of there saying, yeah? And we've had this conversation about some of the charts you said. Yes, we have shortcomings. Yes, we have strengths, but when you do a scorecard, you'd rather be here than in Russia.
Right. I would. I think. So, at the secondary level,
there are schools in New York City saying there are kids who walking out and say, "Gee, Russia seems really great," or XYZ seems really great, for a complete lack of, in my view, a lack of understanding or a misrepresentation of actual facts of how things should work.
What I'm more interested, I guess, what I identify as the greater need in this town right now, not just this town, where I live, in Harbor Hills. We are really good at having students, at least at the time of the test, that they have to sit down and remembering all of this stuff and being able to explain these processes. We're good at giving many opportunities for students to identify a problem and attack it or analyze things. What I'd like us to think about is in a school where a student might take 9 classes a day and never have a time to sit down and reflect. In a school where increasingly, and I'm not speaking for any particular teachers right now, but I think I'm with them all day, the experience of students are sitting there and say, I just want to submit things and get credit because I'm so busy. Just give me the answers for the test. And the nature of this subject of social studies and the nature of civic engagement is to problematize and to reflect and debate or deliberate. And I want to have as many spaces for that as possible. We're addressing that part of the standards that doesn't get measured on the tests. And I think we do pretty well. You see students coming through here all the time who are just brilliant as speakers. And I think Jericho deserves a lot of credit for that. But there's also a lot who are quiet. and not necessarily attentive to world events, and not having much a strong opinion in one way or the other that they develop. So those are the experiences that I'm interested more than necessarily, I'm going to ask you to write an essay on why America is the best country. And you won't do well if you don't say it is. It's the thinking skills and the civic engagement. I don't know if I'm.
Hold on, and I agree with you that I don't think they should necessarily have to write that essay to do well if they can put their arguments back. As you said, you can give each kid have them flip a coin and have them make that argument. What I'm trying to understand is, I'm trying to just, and again, there's no right or wrong answer, it's sort of perspective. Do you think that they do walk out of this 12 or 13 years in Jericho with that impression? Or do you think they walk out, see, Thomas Jefferson, horrible person, wrote a nice piece of paper, horrible person? Do they look at that and say, George Washington led a revolution, did all this, horrible person? Do they, and say, this is not what I want to idealize it for? Karl Marx led to the death of lots and lots of people, really great guy, really nice ideas. I like that. And I'm serious about that because I think that there's a way of it comes across it, and I'm not saying that, I'm not putting words in your mouth, I'm simply saying, how do you think kids, so our students walk away with that after 13 years of the civics? Great.
Hopefully grateful for the incredible opportunity they've had here, and the leg up they're going to have in life. But when those things come up, we'll very often kind of elevate the conversation up to, is it fair to judge somebody from the 18th century by the standards of the 21st century? And there's no right answer to that question either. We're not here to teach people that George Washington was a bad guy or Thomas Jefferson was a bad guy. And one of the things, because we do prepare students for competitions for this thing called, and I think people are going to want me to sit down soon, but we do prepare students for this competition for unsung heroes, and we make heroes out of people, and then all of a sudden there's this huge story about Cesar Chavez being unheroic in some aspects of the way he treated women in his life, and so there's a danger in putting anybody on a pedestal, and maybe that George Washington just gets the inscrutable obelisk, so we can just think about it without making too many people heroes or villains.
You can sit down.
All right, thanks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sundberg. We'll move into the remaining parts of our agenda. Opportunity for the public to be heard. If you'd like to make a comment or ask a question, please approach the microphone. Tell us your name and if you're representing a specific group, your affiliation. If you'd like your statement to be included in our board minutes, you must hand a written copy of your remarks to our district clerk, Victor Manuel, before leaving tonight. As always, public discussion on matters relating to staff and students, during which their reputation, privacy, or right to due process or those of others could in some way be violated, is prohibited. Oh yeah, I didn't know if we're going to leave or to speak. Thank you, Mr. Kabunas.
She's not sure herself.
I wasn't planning on this one. I just wanted to address your question, Mr. Perlman. This is a paragraph from a student asking me for a recommendation letter. She said, even though this was a challenging class, it really changed my perspective on how I view this country. This is AP US History. Learning about the fight for freedom and equality throughout American history truly changed my view on why we say, with liberty and justice for all, every single day in this building. As an immigrant who came from a country with limited freedom of expression, learning the history of the people who fought for this freedom made me appreciate moving here and taking pride in calling myself an American a lot more than I did prior to this course.
Thank you very much. You did probably that 80 words what Dr. Sember could have gotten to in 1,000. So thank you very much. Anyone else? That will close the opportunity of the public to be heard. Moving into our regular business. Recommended be resolved, Board of Education make any necessary corrections and move the approval of the minutes of the regular meetings dated April 30th, the regular meeting dated May 7th, 2026, and the budget board election dated May 19th. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Mr. Jen. Second, Mrs. Citron. I'm sorry, I'm just not processing this quickly today. Any discussion? All in favor? I vote. Thank you very much. Recommended motion be resolved, Board of Education approves tabling the second reading of the following policies: Series 1000, Series 2000, Series 3000, Series 4000, Series 5000, Series 6000. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Mr. Jim. Second. Thank you, Mrs. Varknoff. Those are not supposed to be tabling those. Those are all included in the 3000s and the 5000s. I don't know why it's there. All in favor? Thank you very much. Now we move into the second most exciting part of our discussion. Recommended motion be resolved, the Board of Education accepts the first reading of the following policies in Series 8000, 8110 Curriculum Development Resources and Evaluation, all the way through 8460 Field Trips. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Mr. Jin. Second. Thank you, Mrs. Vartnoff. People here know the drill. We will flip the pages. After this, everyone will know what our policies are, and hopefully they shall be enforced and recognized. And Mr. Chekla is joining us tonight. Thank you, Mr. Chekla. We gave you many shout-outs earlier from all kinds of people. Just so people know, before we get into this, our calendar is this. We will do the 8000s hopefully tonight. On a newly scheduled meeting, June 16th, we will do the 7000s. We will hopefully during that time take some comments, and with an expectation we'll have a new meeting scheduled for June 29th, at which we will accept the second reading of all policies so that they are ready to go into effect for the first day of the new fiscal year for the school, which would be July 1st. If the public has any comments, wishes to say anything, please feel free to tell us now, write to us, however it makes you happy to do it. With that, we move to policy 8110, curriculum development resource and we did a motion, right? Yes. So we are now into 8110. Mr. Goodset, you're with us, right?
Somewhat.
Perfect. Mr. Goodset has had a long week, both inside and outside the Jericho School District. Anyone with anything on 8110? Just so everyone understands, the board has the authority to prescribe curriculum in the district. And the board will work with district staff to develop and improve curriculum in the district. Those are the board's responsibilities, though as always we turn much of that responsibility over to our very capable administration, who will work to ensure that curriculum is evaluated on a regular basis, and any changes will be presented to the board by the superintendent. Anyone have any other comments on that? Next, we're going to move on to 8210. Oh, sorry, no. Mr. Goodset, are we still required to do this AIDS, health education?
Right, so I was gonna, yes, so I'm very educated, so I just have to update the language to reflect, like, well, I think AIDS is still something like legally required. But this whole, paragraph, the first paragraph about consistent with community values and will stress abstinence is the most appropriate and effective premarital protection. That just seems completely.
Let's push this one to June 6th.
Okay. So will we push this to June 6th? Alright, we're pushing this one to June 16th.
Okay, well, just so we know, this was the latest and greatest that we got from Erie Bosse's.
Yes.
And you agree, Mr. Bissett, it looks antiquated, or it looks consistent with what you see from?
If you
I'm not even sure if this policy is really.
Alright, so let's take a look and see if there's something more updated.
Or we can eliminate it or roll it into something else.
Yeah, or just even expand expanding it to be essentially transformational, but this by itself.
Okay, next.
Next, we're doing 8220, career and technical occupation thing. In here, there's a public notification. Where is that issued, when and by whom? The public notification. Prior to the beginning of each school year academic year, district will issue an appropriate public announcement to advise the students, parents, blah, 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 blah. Without regard to any, it's gonna offer them what, do we do that, Mr. Cohen? Dr. Sherman?
CTE.
Doesn't matter, I think we saw, we're, again, I know it's not big, as long as we're doing it, it says we're doing it, if we're not doing it, we can ask Mr. Goodside if we can take it out. You don't think we're doing it?
I would say it's organically done through the scheduling process, but you make this.
It's not a required policy. It's probably, it's somewhere in the, it's also somewhere in your EEO policy, which we just.
Again, it just says we're gonna make a public announcement. I don't
So
really.
it's one of those things that you either do or you don't.
I have my calendar, I don't know where I look for it, because I don't never really look at this thing. Excellent question. It says both, board may. And we all recognize, Dr. Sherman, CTE is not big here, but for whatever it is, if we have it in the policy, either get rid of it or we do have the advisory council propose.
No, programs are as those to be said.
That's not the question. That's the thing
We're gonna get.
This is a, when I say a U policy, it's not a legal policy, so it's not required,
Understood.
so it depends, if you wanna scrap, you scrap. Not that you're scrapping CTE, but you don't have to have this policy.
I think Dave's point, it is organically done through the scheduling process.
That's fine, so you know what, let's just scrap this policy. Policy scrap. So we support anyone who wants CTE and we will help and we will provide information, everything. Instruction, 8240, instruction in certain subjects. We have this gifted and talented students, we don't have a G&T program. So we can scrap that, correct? Under gifted and talented, third paragraph. Physical education classes, I believe I have comments from the superintendent and the floor.
So I know that Brett's going to speak a little bit about this as well. We have a thing called varsity release, which would fall under C. I have a concern about, what the process for the students to get varsity release. And if you don't know what it is, Brett, if you want to talk about it.
Sure. Varsity release is provided to our 10th through 12th graders who.
Are you getting enough volume on him?
I am definitely loud
I'm
enough.
sorry, you got enough volume on him? They can hear him? Perfect. I can hear him. Sorry, Mr. Edson.
Not a problem. They are grades 10 through 12 who participate in varsity sports. They have to obtain at least a 75% on their fitness test in physical education. During the sport that they are participating, or the varsity sport, they are able to just go sign in to their physical education class, and then they can go and study or whatever they are doing based on their application that they provide.
So I think there should be a process to that. I don't know if we can put it in policy or it's just because of the managerial component of it.
I think the easiest way is that you would adopt, well, we can write a sentence that says the superintendent and or designee or the athletic director will set up a procedure which will annex, as opposed to putting it straight in the air. It's just a procedure.
Right, but we're still looking to keep varsity release. Is there some reason anyone's looking to get rid of varsity release?
I'm not a fan of it. Currently, under the current conditions, it is my understanding people are wandering and they're not in specific places. And I think that's a concern for safety.
Well, I think that, I'm not as loud as
Oh, you can.
when I need to be, not very often. I mean, look, you can put other practice procedures in place. Like they have to be in a specific location. They have to do other things, and if they don't do that, then they're not entitled to varsity release.
That's it.
I just want to make sure varsity release is kept in there because for the primary reason, I mean, these kids are ending school, they're going to 2 hours of practice, and if they don't want to go to gym class, yes, we don't want them wandering around, but if they want to use that 50 minutes for studying or for doing whatever else they feel they need to do that they can't do because they lose that 2 hours immediately after school, they should have it. So I no issue fixing this in some way.
To counter that just a little bit, if we're going by New York State, right, as obviously phys ed is a requirement, they are supposed to be doing at least 3 times a week, 90 minutes per week. You know, whether it be 3 times the first, half of the semester, the first half of the year, and then 2 the second. Varsity release, I guess, has them not participating in that. It's my understanding that there's very limited amount of other districts that are having varsity release.
They're not as focused on academics as us in some of those districts. And second, are you saying varsity release violates New York state law?
I would have to look deeper into it, but based off of what I know, what the requirements are, they have to participate in physical education class.
But if they're playing a varsity sport, they are participating in physical education.
They're participating in a varsity sport.
Different thing. If you could do some more research on that, because I think we should be able to fix the wandering issue and move on, but I understand your concern. I understand your concern too, sir. Then if you can explain to me, there's a contradiction between A and B. Because A says all students in grades 4 through 6 will participate 3 times per week for a minimum of 120 hours. And then B says students in grades 5 through 6 will participate in a physical a minimum of 3 periods and 2 periods during the other semester.
That's when it says, the problem with this BOCES policy right here is that they drafted it as though it's a menu of items. So grades K through 3 and then grades 4 through 6 is as though it's an elementary school district or a school that goes K6. If you look at B, it says students in grades 5 through 6 that are in a middle school. So there is a difference because they're assuming that grades 5 and 6 are in middle school, whereas A says that 4 through 6 are in elementary school. So you just have to tailor it as necessary. So really, B should be revised to just say students in grade 6 or students in grade 6 will participate. And then in A, you just change 4 through 6 and make it 4 through 5. Or 4 and 5, yes.
And does that, Dr. Sherman or Mr. Kornblum, seem consistent? You don't have a policy in front of you. Does that seem consistent with what we do?
Yes, 120 minutes a week.
Okay, so we've got the change and it will be reflected for our next read. If anyone doesn't have anything else until we get to sudden cardiac arrest, E, do we have this posting on the district website information on sudden cardiac arrest? We can make sure that gets added to our new website. Mrs. Melito, oh, it's there, I apologize. And we're good. 82, anyone else on 8240?
Hey, Sam.
Yes, sir.
Could I just pose an issue about the varsity release? If it's structured 10 through 12, why would there be a difference, or what would be the difference between the same student athlete in the 10th or 11th grade that might participate in a junior varsity sport?
As always, an excellent question.
I mean, junior varsity, maybe that student, they're
Well, that
they're
student,
younger.
again, if it's...
Well, they're younger, and so the rigor is not as...
No, they're not younger. It's still 10 through 12. They're still going to practice 2 hours a day after school every day. It's just it's 10 or 12 or 15 team members on a different sport, but there's certainly the same academic level.
It's an excellent point. I think Mr. Kornblum will look into it as part of this issue. was worse than that. Yes, okay, thank you. We are now back to 8241. Patriotism, citizenship, and human rights education. Fortunately, Mr. Sundberg has answered most of this. Anyone have any other questions?
Wait, I'm sorry, 8242?
8241. But it really goes back to the question for Dr. Sundberg. Do we promote a spirit of patriotic and civil service and obligation?
I think I said we do.
I asked you, but I was touching the heads a little bit at the end there, so I just want to make sure. Yes, ma'am.
Where it says no, refer also to policy 3430 DEI. We need to change the reference in the title.
Yes.
The number will change with the title.
Opportunity for all.
And the same thing for the next 8242. Same issue. 8241, 8242, remove the.
I was about to say that.
8242, civility, citizenship, and character education, interpersonal violence prevention / education. I think again, Dr. Sundberg talked all about our character education. And we're sure we get in other spaces. Anyone at 8240? 8250, animals in the school. We have a study and care of live animals. Do we have any classes that actually have live animals in them still?
We do dissections.
No, not the dissections. This is
Not live
this
animals.
is
We have live animals. Sorry.
We have a fish tank.
That's it here.
Hold on, we've got an informed opinion in the back. Yes, Mrs. Oshkosh.
We have critters, we do.
We have
live
critters.
animals, we have mealworms, we've got worms, we've got
Fish.
we've got chicks, we've got zebrafish right now. Pill bugs.
Okay, so to the principals, as long as our principals have a plan to care for these animals during emergency school closings and stuff, yes, Dr. Rivera shaking his head. The critter, the mealworm.
That's in here,
Oh
so.
my goodness. Yes, dissection of animals. Do we just do this in biology? Is there any other place where we're dissecting animals?
Anatomy and physiology, right? Anatomy and physiology.
You're good. You're lucky Miss Michelini is not here. I wouldn't buy lunch this week, Dr. Cohn, Mr. Cohn. Instruction in the humane treatment of animals. I'm sure we teach that somewhere. We then move on to, unless anyone has anything else on 8250, we move on to 8260, Title I Parent and Family Engagement. The good news is that through a meeting that Mrs. Clemente invited me to this week, I forget the name of it, but it something to do with Title I, we are legally not allowed to change this policy, not one word, until we've had a committee of about 3,500 people sign off on it. So we are going to leave this policy exactly how it is. No, we cannot change a single word. We are going back to the policy that is in our existing manual. And over the next 12 months, Mrs. Clemente, with her minion, with all her people and millions of people, will work to figure out how we can adopt that and actually modernize it. So we will get you a copy, but no, legally, we're not allowed to change this. Right, Mr. I'm not making this legal stuff up, right, Mr. Goodstaff?
No, you're good.
Thank you, sir. So that gets us to 5 pages of 50. That's 10% of this review. We're killing it. 82, thank you, Mrs. Clemente. Everyone say thank you, Mrs. Clemente. 8271, Internet Safety, Internet Content Filtering. Any questions? We're looking at you, Mr. Jin, but I will go first. It says here, technology protection measures, filtering or blocking of access to certain materials on the internet. It says the district will ensure. How successful is Mr. Oh, he is there. How successful are we at this, and does the use of VPNs completely eliminate our ability to do this? Are we overstating, or are we just saying we're going to try to do it, but we're thoroughly unsuccessful?
With the internet filtering as a whole?
Yes.
Yeah, we use LineWise as a filtering service. We also have GoGuardian as a blocking service. So we're fairly successful with it. But as you know, students still find ways to get around it. So we constantly are monitoring and updating our filtering service on a daily basis.
Is that true for school devices and personal devices in the high school, or is it just for school devices?
Well, it depends. If the personal device is not on our network, we can't filter it. So if they're hooking up to like Verizon outside of our network, then they have their Verizon access. But if they're on our networks, like our guest network, we have wireless, private, all the different networks that we use here, we filter it through our LineWise appliances.
And if they use a VPN?
LineWise will block the VPNs, but if they're using something that, that they've been able to find a VPN service that gets through that, then, it's a case by case.
Is there anything that your department would want from the district or from the board that would make it more effective, or that you think we should have, that you don't already have?
Let me think about that and let you know.
Thank you. Anyone? No. 8280, instruction for English language learners. It says here the district's philosophy regarding the ELLs about this plan. Where does the ELL English New Language program or plan exist?
It has not.
We do not have a plan. We do not have one, and we are aware of. We will be writing one.
Well, this it says we have it. Do we want to get rid? Do we need to have a EL plan, Mr. Gustaf? He gave a tentative. Yeah. Okay, so we need to leave this policy and we need to develop a plan before August, whatever the first day of school is next year.
That being said, we have a whole robust ELL review program that's been very successful, so.
Well, it's
to the fact that
federal
there
guidelines.
isn't- Right, but I'm saying the fact that there isn't a plan isn't like.
There's no particular, there hasn't.
Right, doesn't mean it's.
Tried.
I don't know. Well, no, there's a deficiency according to our policies. There's not a deficiency in the education we're providing to people. That's what I'm trying to make sure. Yeah, no, everybody, right? We have great ENL. So we will, that's another plan we're adding to our new list of plans that we're writing. Thank you, Dr. Kravitz, Dr. Sherman, and Mr. Gustaf. 8320, textbooks, library materials, and other instructional materials.
I seen comment from another one, that it should be a majority of the board instead of 3/4 of the board. And the what, textbooks. And.
In case you're following home, that's at the bottom of page 1.
Just to understand why it is written this way, as opposed to, if you look at it, it says textbook once designated cannot be superseded within a period of 5 years. So the intent is that if a board flips, that they want to make sure that they have 3/4 of the board. Obviously, you really don't have 3/4 of the board is really 4/5 of the board. But that's really what the intention is. You don't have to leave it that way. That's not a legal requirement.
3/4 is not 4/5.
Board developments. So if you want to make it a majority, that's not a problem. But there is actual intent into why something like that is drafted.
This could be like our little filibuster. I have no issue to Dr. Balachano, Mrs. Vartanoff, Mr. Jin, any thoughts? Majority's good? Just you need 4 out of 5 people to get rid of the book, instead of 3 out of 5.
Again, I have no problem. I just want to make sure that the board
No, I
was aware
understand.
why it's written that way.
What? Majority's fine.
Okay.
Board's not flipping. District participates in the National Instructional Materials Access Center, NIMAC. Do we? Is that who we borrow books from for private schools? Top of page 2, second paragraph. The district participates in NIMAC.
We use Textbook Central primarily through, that's a company that.
That's a company, but this is it's like a national agency.
I'll make all the changes to Textbook Central.
But is Textbook Central what should be here as opposed to NIMAC?
That's what if you guys don't use NIMAC, that's then we should change the
Can we just leave it open? Company that was doing it, it would sound like it's a standard. So it's different. I don't know if we're.
I'm not aware of NIMAC, I was just expressing how we get.
Right. Maybe we should just take this paragraph out.
Yeah, it's fine.
But actually don't want to lose the concept of the alternate formats, like that there are. They
That's 9S. We could leave them in there and just get rid of 9S.
We don't.
I'm joking. Why don't we just do what Mr. said, take out those two paragraphs, but just leave the first sentence of the first paragraph in. Who require alternative formats will receive those materials in a format that meets their needs. Save you the trouble of changing anything else. Take out those two paragraphs except for the first sentence. Receive those materials in a format that meets their needs.
And at the same time as those instructions, the last part works.
Like the last sentence.
And at the same time as those instructional materials are available to the peers.
Good?
I have a question on calculators. Aren't students required to purchase their own pair of calculators?
I don't think so.
Mr. Kriegstein?
No.
You do.
I know, I've done it, and the,
Oh, in that
supply list,
box
yeah.
thing, yeah.
Oh, it might be part of the regular supply list for middle school, the little scientific calculators, but the graphing calculators, we don't require them to purchase. The graphing calculators are a higher priced item, and we're phasing those out because we're going to Desmos, which is accessible on the computer.
So should we provide graphing calculators, because kids are buying all calculators.
Or we could just get rid of this whole sentence and just buy a box of cheap calculators. I don't know. I'm far out of that book's side. Ira probably has a good reason to answer this question.
That would only be historical. We used to supply the Texas Instruments graphing calculators to every kid that needed it.
Yeah, we're phasing that out now, but we can't, for high-priced items like that, we can't, there was something from the state, I think it came out in, I wanna say 2006 or something like that.
But the ones we make them buy in elementary school at Dr. Valentine, so what are these, like $20 calculators?
The ones in element, no, they're cheap, they're probably $10, I don't know.
I bought like a TI that was required in middle school, I think.
Well, you always have the option of purchasing your own, like that, if students wanna get their own, they could certainly do that, but we don't require them to, we haven't required them to purchase their own calculator. We do loan it out. But again, that's really kind of becoming obsolete because we're getting away from that.
Gotta leave it for now.
What? Could you just put high-price calculators?
No, it's not the price, it's the sophistication of the calculator.
Which is reflected in the price.
Yeah.
Okay, but there are calculators we make people buy in the younger grades, Mrs. Kriegstein? That's what I'm trying to just, or really, if they can't buy those, we'll give them a $10 calculator.
I mean, anytime, if if a student can't buy them, we will give them a calculator. We will not let anyone go on calculating.
Oh, it's here for intermediate and high school. Intermediate is middle school. Do you want to just take out the word intermediate, Dr. Valentine, and just do high school calculators? Okay.
Sam, I got a bunch of extra slide rules too in case the kids,
What about abacus?
Okay, 8320, anyone else? 8330, objection to instructional and library materials and controversial issues. Just reading so the public knows on record, the board has authority to prescribe curriculum in the district and to designate the textbooks to be used in the district. There are ways to formally object in this policy. You have a problem, 8330 is your place to go, and then we will go that way. Anyone have anything on 8330? 8340, instructional material.
When we last discussed this a few years ago when this issue came up at a public meeting, we were encouraging community members to follow the chain of command from the classroom teacher and then curriculum associated that has, but here it has written objections going straight to the superintendent.
Not in the first paragraph. First paragraph, any questions or concerns should go to the instructional staff or the school library immediately.
But then the second paragraph.
If they want to formally object, I think that's more, but if you have a concern, you go and talk to the teacher or maybe to the CA. But then if you want to file a formal objection, that is a process that goes straight to the superintendent.
I think the way to fix Divya's concern is to just say after reaching out to, then they can formally object after they go through the protocol.
Perfect.
I'll add a sentence.
Make it so, number one.
Star Trek.
8340, instructional materials in non-public, for non-public school students. I guess I may have messed this up when I thought the other one, NIMAC, had to do with non-public. I was misremembering which one. For dates here, for textbook purchases, I was always of the 9/1 sort of thing, because I don't think they're gonna get there, and they're first gonna find out what books they need, or is that too early, too late for us to get books?
Repeat Textbook Central and what they do. So Textbook Central works with a number of private schools, not all. And the private schools that they have agreements with, the school is sending directly to Textbook Central the types of books they need for our resident children, and then we pay Textbook Central directly. That's a much smoother process, not only for us.
That's great. No, so do we need to put it, do we need to put a date in here? I mean, we have to put a date in here, but it could be anything. It sounds like the school was just sending it.
But that's for those, and then there are other private schools that don't work with Textbook Central, and we have to get the books ourselves.
And so what's a reasonable date for them to have to tell us by?
That the private school has to tell us what books? Yeah, I would say by, I'm sorry? By July, yeah. Because we would need time to.
So July 5th, July 1st, July 15th?
What's the latest?
What?
What's the latest?
It's hard to say because sometimes they'll request a book and we actually have it, so it's easy at that point. But if we have to go and order it, that's where it becomes.
So why don't we say July 1st?
Yeah, we do a spreadsheet.
July 1st, right after school ends, and so we have that date in paragraph 3, and on the next page, page 2, I'm sorry, in the second paragraph, we have the same issue.
Speaking of the same issue, right, read it word for word, but aren't each of these
It's so
sections
redundant.
exactly the same? Like, why can't we just say textbooks, instructional, computer hardware?
Yeah, I was gonna say that one thing, just
Smart
list
school,
all
fashion technology, computer, yeah, it's like, it's like the same library, it's all repeated 5 times.
If you want, I can take this policy and throw it into AI and have them condense it all the way to
That's your honor.
I'm kidding, clearly I'm going through it myself. But, you know.
Sure you are.
Question. Are we saying that the school has to provide, the private school has to provide us with a list of the books they need for the fall by July 1st? Is that what I hear?
From what I'm hearing, yes, it seems weird, but if Mrs. Stokel and Mr. Manuel are saying it takes us a while to get the books, we can't guarantee if you don't give it to us by July 1st, you're gonna have it for the start of school. I assume if someone gives us a book, a request after July 1st, or if they move there and they decide to enroll, we'll do our best to get it to them. But here we're saying we're gonna get it to them, and so, you
And
know.
if it's out of print, or we have to try to look at it on Amazon or something.
By law, we can do it as early, we can make the date as early as June 1 of the year prior. So July 1 is just a month later. We're giving them extra time.
So I'll just compare it to the, I know it's different, but I'll compare it to the busing requests that come in for private school.
That's April.
Right, so the busing obviously,
That's a different law.
no, but the busing is obviously a much bigger issue, much more preparation. The July 1st date for books, you know, the only people we're hurting in that regard, if they make a request after July 1st, we're just hurting, you know, kids and families that live in this district who couldn't possibly know what books they need till after the school provides a
But
list.
Ira, we're just saying if we get it by July 1st, you'll likely have it for the first day of school. We're not gonna not get a book because they requested it July 3rd.
Okay,
We're still getting
okay.
It
the
also
books.
says that no event will legally request be denied where reasonable explanations given.
Okay, fine, that's fine. I'm
We've
okay
never-
with that.
Yeah, we've never done that.
8350, use of copyrighted material. Do we have a copyright officer? It says maybe appointed. I'm just asking if we have one. Good. 8360, a good one. Religious expression in the instructional program. Mr. Newsom, did you want to talk? Do we have to work in Mahmood versus Taylor in here somewhere?
Makes sense.
It's a SCOTUS case from a year ago, which
No,
I'm
it's
sure
actually-
Harry Bosie people have picked up on.
No, they actually have, just not perfectly. Yes, if you look at the last last two sections, the last two paragraphs of the policy 8360, curriculum areas in conflict with religious beliefs, that plays into the Mahmood standard, which, again, just for all those at home, Mahmood v. Taylor is about elementary school curriculum, in which initially the school district in Maryland allowed for an opt-out for certain books, and then at last second decided to not allow the opt-out. And the court found that to be arbitrary and capricious because, well, without input, they decided to let the opt-out. But they said that their students, depending on, and it's not a bright line rule, but students at the elementary level in particular, which is what Mama was about, would be allowed to opt out of education that would be conflicting with their religious beliefs. So I think this is sufficient in accordance with what Mama would actually stands for and what the district actually does.
It would be less sufficient. So you go for 8420, opening exercises. Oh, wait, but 8420 says, under certain circumstances, such as religious conviction, individuals may be excused from the requirement of the Pledge of Allegiance. Is it, but I know they can be excused, but I thought anyone could do it. You don't have to have a religious conviction. I thought you could say, I'm not doing it today.
Also, it's such as.
It says certain circumstances. What circumstances wouldn't someone be excused from it?
Couldn't tell you.
Dr. Sundberg, based on our great civics program, would we have any students who wouldn't want to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? It's a rhetorical question. I'm joking. Please don't answer that.
We're required, well, you know the answer.
Oh, I assume Mr. Goodsell's going to tell us when we don't need a policy.
You don't need it.
Good. Anyone who doesn't want to stand, not be a free American, I'm just joking, does not have to stand. But they will get extra time with Mr. Sundberg, Dr. Sundberg.
Are you okay with taking out this policy?
With what?
Keep it in. It just, there's too much.
Is there not a law that we have to lead them, but we can't,
Yes,
we
that's
can't
why I
make
was
them?
confused by
Yeah,
this.
we're not breaking
This
the
seemed like it
law.
was against the law.
Yeah.
There probably was a time when it was against the law,
The policy.
or they made believe it was against the law.
There's been a Supreme Court decision.
Yes.
Independent study, 8430, Dr. Kravitz.
I'd like to change this to independent study for credit may be available, not will be available.
Well, that's, my question was, to do
There are currently no students who are doing independent study.
Is this in addition to
Yeah.
the work that they're doing in school, or is it like if there's a field of study that someone's interested in that we don't offer here? Like, who does this?
Yes, that's correct.
We would never do it for that reason. It's not just, it goes forward because you don't offer X class and I'd like to take it. But there might be some rare circumstances where we have a senior who has struggled through their coursework in order to graduate on time, or even to graduate a year late. We may work with them on how they may pick up some additional credits beyond our courses that we're offering in order to do that.
So I like the word may, because if you need the word will means that any student has the opportunity to say, I want to take an extra class based on my independent study, may be open at our discretion. Independent study for credit may be available.
No, but the next sentence, the principal after
The relevant faculty will award credit, right, but the first one is that they may not have that opportunity.
we're okay with that.
If they complete it, they'll get awarded credit. If they don't complete it, if they can't take the course, because they may take it. Do we have a process? Are we gonna formalize a process for how we qualify this, so it's not arbitrary and capricious?
We would have to, yes, we will, that's another plan, but I understand there's nobody currently on it, so it hasn't been for many years.
Okay. Just so you following how there's only 3 policies left.
And all
But they don't care about it. They can stay for those. They want to understand our policy. 8440, homeschooling. Primary responsibility for determining compliance with the commissioner's regulations addressing home instruction rests with the superintendent.
Oh my God.
I told you, I'm not getting the words out today. The
Just
superintendent.
to be very clear though, so everyone's aware, this is homeschooling, not home instruction. So there is a difference. Homeschooling is parents teaching kids outside the school district. Home instruction is school districts providing instruction to students at home. This is the former, not the latter.
So, B, it says the district is not required to loan available textbooks and other materials to home instructed students. However, the district will provide home instructed students with textbooks and materials. Don't those 2 sentences say the exact opposite?
Like, should we just take out the last sentence and instead say the district is not required to, but may loan available textbooks?
That's fine.
I don't know, I think the sentence should be here, right? Maybe that's it.
No, the first sentence is weird actually, because you're not required to do it, but you are.
But may?
But
But we are.
But you are, that's what that says. It says, the first sentence says you're not required to, but the second sentence says, however, despite that, you will.
I think that this is confusing, but like, now that you indicated this is homeschooling, not home instruction, in the provision of services to home instructed students, shouldn't that say home school students?
They go back and forth in the language here, so yes, we can change all references to home instruction to home school.
Are there 2 separate policies of homeschooling and home instruction?
No, the next policy is.
So the one
So the
you're
next
talking about now
policy
is
is home
homeschooling.
instruction. This is homeschooling under 100.10.
Okay, so, but in the homeschooling policy, there's a sentence that says for home instruction,
The homeschooling policy interchanges home instruction and homeschooling.
So they're gonna clarify that?
We're gonna clarify.
Okay, sorry.
All references to home instruction in this policy 8440 will now say homeschool.
So what happens with textbooks for home school?
According to this policy,
But what do we do?
I think Dave said, what? You don't have any?
So students are homeschooled, can I just?
I know you don't have to, but the answer is, the question is what?
So then we should take out the however the district will provide, because, so we should take out the second sentence.
Yeah, it's either the first part or the second part. One sentence, one part of the sentence.
We're not required to do that,
So it's not required, but may loan available textbooks.
Oh, that's good.
If the board's okay with that.
But may loan available textbooks if we're doing it anyway.
The only concern obviously is you would have to add at the end to, with availability, upon availability.
Well, it says if it's loan available.
Why would you commit to something that you're not obligated to do? You could-
Well, I think that's the whole thing. Okay.
I think I'd rather be clear if we're not. I would keep it in.
What, the last sentence? The but may? Does the first sentence no but may?
Right.
Just say we're not required to.
And then in E, you don't think we're taking out the gifted.
Good. 8450, home, hospital, or institutional instruction. Parentheses, homebound instruction.
That's
So we have to provide home instruction for private school students if they're hurt or they're staying home?
If they live in your district.
But how are we supposed to, how are we supposed to, we can't use our teachers, we have to then go contract out for a teacher who knows the curriculum at that private school?
That's that legally, that's an instructional question as to how you wish to provide the home instruction. Just that you do, just, the mechanism is at the discretion of the school district. But,
Mr. Perlman, some of our students that are on home instruction, we utilize Full Mind, which is like an online virtual learning, and so they're just told they're taking geometry, and then that company works with the student and the school counselors to make sure they're getting them the right curriculum.
So A, it's not a problem, but B, we do it. You go to some private school and you're home for a week or 2 weeks, you broke your leg, we're providing homeschooling.
So we don't
today.
currently have any students in private schools getting home instruction. If Mr. Goodsat says that is the law, then I believe it. Our own students who are either hospital bound or
I do not know if he's saying that's the law, I was just saying that's what our policy said. And I was, same as why we provide them buses, we supposed to.
Probably the distinction between the law requires.
There's also a difference as to whether or not there are any private school students that are on home instruction. So, that might be a possibility as well.
But legally, we are required to provide.
Again, you're required to provide private and public and non-public in the same situations.
Thank you. Mrs. Clementi is our Director of School Health Services. Congratulations.
What is that?
You're our Director of School Health Services.
Oh.
Did you know this?
I did not know this.
But I brought it up.
We can add it to my title thing.
We'll get you a new Dorothy.
I heard it second.
This is that hasn't worked in the private sector in a while. Title's cheap, raise is very expensive. One second, I just was trying to figure out, under page 2, home, hospital, or institutional instruction requirements, it says you're going to provide within 5 school days after receiving notification, or within 5 school days from the request for home, hospital instruction. How do you know that someone's going to be home that long? Forget it, it's all good. We got 1 minute. 8460, field trips.
Question, should we add language for volunteer chaperones? No.
Hearing officer,
That,
student discipline.
The superintendent or designee will establish administrative procedures governing the supervision of students on field trips, including the use of employee and volunteer chaperones, something to that effect.
We do volunteer chaperones?
Yeah.
Still? Okay. It's been a long time since elementary.
That's fine. Want to say it again? No, 'cause I didn't.
Yeah, sure.
All right. I did listen, I
Want me
did.
to email it to you?
Yes, yeah.
The superintendent, I'll email
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
but the superintendent designee will establish administrative procedures governing the supervision on field trips, including the use of employee and volunteer chaperones. I'll email it to the board right now.
Thank you.
Last question for me. Do field trips include competitions? Is that what this is referring to also?
Field trips are.
So competitions, taking the kids to the FBLA in Chicago, that wouldn't fall under this policy.
You say competition, I assume sports.
Because the reason I'm asking is sometimes there are competitions where there's only students. So I don't know if it's a student or a group of students, if that's relevant to this. Because sometimes we only have one kid who qualifies for competition.
So, as written, as trips are part of the curriculum in school, those interscholastics or those extracurricular business technically does not fall under curriculum per se, it's extracurricular. So I'm not sure if it would fall under your club policy. Discuss on June 16th.
We can say that for next year when we do the whole policy book again.
Can't wait.
That's a joke.
Can't wait.
Okay. Do I vote of policy series 8,000 as amended?
Except for 8210, which you table.
Which one's 8210?
Title one.
No, it's.
No, we're not
That's
tabling
career
Safety conditions and prevention instruction.
Which one?
Decision
The
16.
safety conditions, the one that
Oh,
was teaching
the-
about AIDS and. So not your church for your titles.
Why? We're just saying we're Title 1 is not changing.
You're not, that means you don't do anything.
Okay, what number is Title 1? 8210 and Title 1? 8260. So I have a motion, a vote on accepting, well, I can change the vote after I made the motion to accept everything, Mr. Goodstead? Okay, so do we have to accept the first read of all the policies 8,000 except for 8210 and 8260? 8210 is being tabled, 8260 we're just doing nothing on. We are deleting the Pledge of Allegiance policy. Well, I think it's all included.
Wait, there was another one in 8220.
Everything we delete is included in the as amended, the series 8,000 as amended, except for 8210, which we don't have a new draft for, and 8260, which we are not, which we don't need to change because we're leaving it the way it was. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Great. Now, we are moving to schedules. We did all of our donations already, right? Yes. Schedules, be resolved, the Board of Education accept schedules, business affairs, little I1, treasurer's report through superintendent's office designation of textbooks. Do I have a motion? Second. Thank you, Mr. Jin. Any discussion of schedules? Mr. Bennett, can you talk a little about this for literally 2 seconds? And this, they were authorizing them to, with the data privacy agreements?
And what's the pay reserve of zero cost?
This is an agreement to allow BOCES to assist in managing and procuring data privacy agreements on behalf of New York State school districts. It gives us the ability to more easily access and use data privacy agreements with software.
Just to assist in that, Mr. Jin talked last time when we talked about the AI policy regarding the protection of data. This program ensures that they will make sure that all the programs that we are going to be using, including, when I say we, I mean you guys, including the click-through products, we have educational 2D compliant policies for the school districts.
And they do it free of charge out of the goodness of their heart.
Great service through BOCES.
That's an oxymoron. Great service, BOCES. Uh-oh. Okay, any other questions? It's part of the VIG we pay, no problem. And as anyone knows who's curious, in here you will see agreements regarding our tax anticipation notes, which we will be issuing at some point, because that's just the way things go. Even though we got a big bunch of other.
There is a bill up at the state right now that is, if it goes through, it will allow school districts to use reserves to offset having to borrow TANs, which we've been fighting for many years. But it's finally a bill. It'll probably take a while, but I don't know if it'll affect this year, but we're hopeful at one point we will have to do that.
You really wanted to use the word reserve? Mayor have. All in favor of accepting schedule, business affairs, little I-1, 5-0. Do I, oh, no, we have to go, right? We are going to adjourn to executive or retreat to executive. Do I have a motion to retreat to executive session to discuss a personnel issue and a student issue? Thank you. Second, Mr. Jin, all in favor? We will be coming, well, actually, we will be coming back here to close the meeting because at that time.
You gotta take it, there is an action.
Yeah, but what's the difference what room we do?
Doesn't, but you have to let the public know.
Fine, so we'll open the door to take
So
action.
you have to let the public, you should come back.
We should come back here. We're gonna come back here and. That's Mr. Goodstead.
What we can do is we can do the part that needs to be.
We expect to come back and take action, but quite frankly, it's gonna be on, no names or any, there's gonna be no information shared other than we're gonna take a vote on. You can just say the right vote. Oh, I'm sorry, okay, our lawyer has got said, we're going to go inside here for 5 minutes of executive session, and then we're gonna come out here and.
Here?
We're gonna do it right in here,
Okay.
and then we're gonna come out here and take a vote, so we're gonna keep the live stream, we're gonna come back to it in probably, we always say 5, by 10:15, 10:20, we'll be back here for a quick vote. And that will be what we'll be doing when we come back. So, did we take a vote to adjourn? We did vote into, adjourn into executive. Vote into executive. 5-0, good. Thank you, everyone. Mr. Preston, this is, I think, thank you so much for the donation. Thank you so much for staying.
Yeah.
I got it.
Good night, all.
Good luck trying to find a budget you can improve in your district, Mr. Hartman. Don't you try to coach Mr. Manuel.
If they don't throw away money.
You want this law? Want me to give you Mrs. phone number? You guys can text.
Yeah, I have a feeling we'll get along famously.
Famously.
Goodbye.
Thank you, Katie.
Oh boy. I thought today was gonna be an early night.
Did you really? Why
Yeah.
would you think that?
I don't know.
That's insane.
I was being like very optimistic.
We were pushing the policy really quick.
You did it really good today.
Except for the one time you scolded me.
But these
Except for those
policies
times. These policies are neat, no, they're short, but if we wanted to, we could have thought about it. We don't need our superintendent. So, but I need Steve's computer. Let's have the resolution.
Oh.
Mr. Goodston, I need the resolution, please. Do I take a motion to move back into general session? Yes, we're gonna make a motion, we've exited executive, and motion to move into regular session. Thank you. Second, Mr. Jin, all in favor? Yay. Welcome back, welcome back, sports fans. Be it resolved that upon reviewing the appeal of a student discipline matter, the Board of Education affirms the decision of the superintendent in all respects, and be it further resolved that the district clerk shall notify the parents in writing of the board's determination. I think I got that all right properly. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Mrs. Vartanoff. Second, Mr. Jin. We obviously can't discuss. All in favor? 5-0. Thank you for that. Executive to discuss a personnel and a student matter. We will be coming back to end the meeting. We will not be taking any further action, so we will not be streaming when we come back. We will only be moving to adjourn the meeting. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening, and we shall see you on January 16th. I'm sorry, June 16th. Oh, sorry. Vote to move into executive. Thank you.
We're going here, we're going.
I said, whatever you want. Or not. Sure, yeah, yes.
Thank you.